Happy Devils Sunday. This is The Woo Report. The Woo Report, episode 446, coming to you live inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as Tom Fitzgerald, Devils GM extraordinaire, making moves before the July 1st Canada Day free agent frenzy, as he has done in previous years. And I apologize for not going live yesterday when all the transactions were going down, because I decided, hey, I got to go to a Mets game, thinking, oh, I've got Sunday and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday talking about transactions. But Tom Fitzgerald, Fitz Magic, making some deals. And some of it was kind of heartbreaking for me, having to text Paul Marino, John Marino's dad, who's a good friend of the podcast, that John Marino was traded away to a team that hasn't figured out their name yet, the Utah Hockey Club, or is that their name? I don't know. Formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes, for a couple of picks coming back to New Jersey. We will go through the details in just a sec. Dubs is like, no more football calls. Sam, it's over. Yes and no. I've gotten quite a bit of private messages, texts about the football calls. We may kind of refine it a little bit. I got to talk to Scotty about it because they are part of Devils After Dark. Could it just turn into game-winning goals? More of a hockey style, till you have a Manning or, hey, look, if Brady Tkachuk comes to the New Jersey Devils, I know that you can't say that on this podcast, but just say if he ever comes, maybe I'll bring the football calls back. I don't know. It was fun when it started, when it was actually, it didn't start with John Marino. It actually started with Andreas Janssen, or Andre Johnson, kind of as a joke. And then when you trade Ty Smith for a Marino coming from Western Pennsylvania, then it all just came together, the football calls. But you never know. You never know. Anything can happen here on the Let's Go Devils podcast. But John Marino traded. Of course, I said my displeasure on Twitter, or actually formerly known as Twitter, X. I still haven't received my John Marino jersey that I ordered a few weeks ago. Now obsolete before I even received it. I tend to have that kind of a problem. I feel like I'm kind of a jinx. So, hey, if there's a player you want to get rid of on the New Jersey Devils, send me some money and I'll buy their jersey, and they will be gone 1 week or less, guaranteed, or your money back, essentially. But as Ralph says, right now it freed up cap space, because essentially this was a salary cap dump when dumping Marino, knowing that the rumors are Pesci coming from Carolina through free agency is a real possibility tomorrow as free agent frenzy begins at, I believe, noon Eastern. But it was a salary cap dump. And let me go over what has transpired in the last, let's say, 48 hours for your New Jersey Devils. Getting the details here. Just give me one moment, please. Dubs is like, now you're going to have to do some kind of Pesci impersonation or something. Yeah, you know who's really good at it is good friend of the podcast, Jim Brewer. He is very, very good. If you ever hear some of his comedy skits with Pesci and the GPS Pesci, as in Joe Pesci, yeah. Jacob Schmo says, I'm afraid Sam. Michael Descala says, $19.7 million of free cap space. Okay. Just looking through some of the news here. You know, sometimes when you go through this, sometimes a little ADD action, and you get a little sidetracked. All right, let's go back to yesterday's transactions because we had quite a few here. Because you had the NHL draft, which, by the way, the big Russian that they got in the first round with the 10th overall pick, Tom Fitzgerald promised. Remember, Tom Fitzgerald promised. After the season was over, there was a press conference that he promised the Devils would get bigger and stronger, especially on defense and also getting a goaltender. So far this offseason, he has traded for Jacob Markstrom. You've got the two Jakes, Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen, veteran goaltenders manning the crease, which in the interim is a huge upgrade from what the Devils have had in the last few years. It's not a knock on Akira Schmid, who we will get to in a second. Not a knock on Nico Dawes. Not a knock on anybody, including Vitek Vanacek, but the Devils finally have adequate, decent goaltending right now without giving up that much. But let's get to the draft where it all started. You got A-Train, Anton Vasilyev, and I apologize for mutilating names, but you know who I'm talking to. You get this massive defenseman who can move and skate and can also use his body. 6'7". You're talking about Kevin Ball size. But he actually uses his size. And he actually can move for a big guy. 10th overall pick. Some consensus said he could have went first overall. But he's not going to be here in the near future. But he possibly could get here sooner than you think. Nobody really knows. It kind of reminds me of Shakira Muhammadulin, you know, with the KHL contracts and agents and all that kind of good stuff. Former Devil, Hockey Hall of Famer Igor Larionov will be coaching him. So he is in good hands as he develops. But a massive, massive defenseman for the future. Have you seen the film on this guy? Impressive so far. And this is great that Tom Fitzgerald, when he made the trade for Timo Meier, made sure that they were able to keep this pick if they didn't make it to, I guess the Eastern Conference Finals or whatever that stipulation was. Because that 10th overall pick, which none of us really expected last year, that the Devils that would actually draft that high, I think this was a smart pick for New Jersey. For the Devils, they needed beef, and hence the title of this podcast, Fitzy Beefing Up the Present and the Future. This more of the future. I'm happy with this pick. But it won't be for a couple years till we really understand what this guy can bring to the table. Josh Reinitz, also good, a friend of the podcast, tweeted out that Silyev had the most points by under 18 player in the KHL history, topping Vladimir Tarasenko, 10 points, 7 goals, 3 assists in 38 games for Novosibirsk. I can't even pronounce it. And also Mike Morial putting that out there. And I'm all about beef. You know it. I am all about beef. And this smart move, a lot of speculation that Tom Fitzgerald will trade the 10th overall pick. Remember, folks, draft picks are people, is what Tom Fitzgerald said in the past. Draft picks are players. You just don't know who they are in the present. We also had rumors on Friday night about John Marino being shopped around. Interest in the right-handed defensive defenseman. I'm a big fan of John Marino, obviously. But I'm heartbroken that they traded him. Matter of fact, I would have traded Jonas Siegenthaler, but if you look at the value that John Marino brings being right-handed, you get quite a few assets by trading a right-handed mobile defenseman. So he was traded to Utah, John Marino. Traded to the Utah Hockey Club, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes. He'll be playing with Logan Cooley. Traded yesterday, and trying to get the details, but all these ads are just popping up on my phone, and I can't stop it. Stinks. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry, folks. Ugh. These ads. Or do I have to play it before I can actually read you some of the things about this trade? But, yeah, so... my goodness. Sorry, folks. I'm just, my phone has been hijacked by all these ads, and I can't even read the details of this. I'm trying to go to actually a James Nichols article to get some of the details for you. James Nichols, also a good friend of the podcast as well. New Jersey Hockey Now. But somehow this ad is just taking over my phone, and I can't even read anything. All right. So, in exchange for Marino, Devils received the 49th overall pick in the second round and Edmonton's 2025 second-round pick. And what did the Devils do? They go for a goaltender. Mikhail Yegorov, North America's number 1 ranked prospect goaltender. And also the Devils received a 2025 second-round pick. Much speculation that the Devils will be getting Brett Pesce. So you got to clear out salary cap space. Right now, the Devils stand at $19.67 million for free agency, which starts tomorrow. The frenzy will start tomorrow. But with Brett Pesce, you know what he brings to the table. Experience. He brings some physicality. He can anchor that blue line, which the Devils desperately need, because the Devils got pushed around and bullied around all last season. You've got to protect your investments. What investments that I'm talking about? The core 4. Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, and Timo Meier. Now, Timo Meier can be a physical player, but he can't do it all on his own. Being a power forward, it takes a toll on your body. You need support, especially on the blue line. As much as I would love to keep John Marino, this was a business decision because you had to get a veteran defenseman back there, especially when Tom Fitzgerald said, we need a goaltender, we need a defensive defenseman, we need an offensive defenseman, we need a top six forward, and we need a bottom six forward. He literally said that a couple months ago. And I'm thinking, well, thank you, Captain Obvious. But he's done that so far. He's building from the goalie out. Getting Jake Allen before trade deadline last season, Jake the Snake Allen. Now getting Jacob the Snake Markstrom. The two Jakes are at stake right now. Boy, I'm going with the rhymes right now. But that's okay. But if you could get Brett Pesce and also Dylan as well from the Winnipeg Jets has also been rumored. I think Frank Saravalli put that out, but I don't want to jump around right now. Could be something that the Devils needed. And with Dougie Hamilton coming back from an awful injury, you have Luke Hughes, Simon Nemec, Seamus Casey trying to break in the lineup, although I think he will be in the AHL. But with Hataka and DeSimone being 7 and 8 spots, if they get Pesce tomorrow and Dylan, that blue line with decent goaltending will be a major, major upgrade for the Devils for the 2024-25 season. You need that veteran presence. You need physicality. I think the Florida Panthers showed us why you need physicality. You do not want to get bullied around. You need to protect your investment. As I said, Hughes, Heischer, Bratt, and Timo Meier. And the draft capital coming back only helps the New Jersey Devils. All for Ty Smith, if you really think about it. Ty Smith, first-round pick in 2017, traded for John Marino. John Marino, I love following the trade trees, the lineage, how it goes. But this one, it was a smart money decision. It was a business decision. It's nothing personal. We will always be friends with Paul Marino. I told him I'll drive him to Utah to see a game. But he said he flies. So I'll fly with Paul Marino to go see John Marino play. And boy, did we have fun. We should probably put the best of the John Marino football calls. Ralph says, you want beef, Sam, but Marino is small. Yeah, and that's the problem. But this is a smart move by Tom Fitzgerald. Very smart move. As we move on. And so he selects this kid who's 6'4", Yegorov. Number 1 North American goaltender. I'm sorry, not North America. The Russian goaltender, but he was the number 1 North American goaltender. That's correct. Oh, he's 6'5". 6'5", and according to Corey Pronman of The Athletic, said he came over from the CSKA program to the USHL this season. Moves quite well for a 6'5" goaltender. Makes a tough saves and is nimble for a guy his size. And I was saying this earlier, a couple months ago, that the Devils need to draft goaltenders. That's their problem. And it hasn't been working out. They drafted one in the second round. Not to beat a dead horse. Great moves by Tom Fitzgerald. But what do you do with Akira Schmid? Well, there were rumors this past season that he wasn't happy with the New Jersey Devils organization. Wasn't happy where he was going. And I could see a player feeling that way. But then it happened. Akira Schmid and Alexander Holtz, former first-round pick, sent to Vegas. And they get back some more beef in Paul Cotter, forward Paul Cotter, and the Vegas third round in 2025. Nobody really saw this coming. But you get a 6'2 forward centerman, 212 pounds. Again, that's the bottom six forward that Tom Fitzgerald wanted to get. He's building from the goalie out right now. We know that Pesci's in the mix. Could Dylan be as well? But bottom six forward, Paul Cotter, not a bad move. Not a bad move for the Devils. Now, it's good that Tom Fitzgerald has recognized that Alexander Holtz is not working out. After all, that's Tom Fitzgerald's first ever GM pick in the NHL draft was Alexander Holtz. He also selected Dawson Mercer in that draft in the first round and Shakir Muhammadullah, which is now Timo Meier. Speaking of which, Dawson Mercer is due for a contract extension. Not extension. Is it extension? Yeah. Well, he just ended his entry-level contract. Projected by some, I think it's Sports Track, $3.7 million. But Paul Cotter is a New Jersey Devil. You need the beef. Akira Schmid, it wasn't going to work out here in New Jersey. We thank him for his services, what he did against the New York Rangers. He does have potential. But you want somebody that can stick up for his teammates and also throw the body around and actually score some points while you're at it. Paul Cotter, can't wait to see him in the New Jersey Devils uniform. Akira Schmid, Alexander Holtz, shipped out. Tom Fitzgerald now holding players accountable. If you don't want to be here or you're not going to play up to your potential, you're going to get moved out. But Holtz's time in New Jersey kind of ran out a while ago. And I know a lot of fans were blaming Lindy Ruff. Oh, how come he wasn't getting any playing time? What are you doing? And maybe that's a fair statement, but is he going to resurrect his career in Vegas? We shall see. JP says coach and GM ruined Holtz and value. Got to admit, sometimes you've got to kind of fold the cards on some of these players. Matt Freudenberger, one of my favorite fans. Thanks for coming on, Sam. Nobody I'd rather listen to while getting ready to go to a wedding. Matt Freudenberger, thank you very much for the kind words. Again, I wanted to go yesterday, live at the Mets game. They were winning, and then you know what happened. Anyway, Ted says he doesn't really like Fitzgerald. Basically wasted a 2020 first-round pick We should have gotten more in return from Vegas. To tell you the truth, Ted, I agree, but I disagree. I agree with you that he was a flop. Could you blame the Devils organization for his development? Yes and no. But it wasn't going to work out. And why hold the rest of the team back and watch Alexander Holtz develop? I mean, heck, he couldn't even make his own country's, home country's team during Worlds. And I think that was the last straw. And it just didn't work out. Sometimes they don't work out. It's not the worst pick in the world. But you get Paul Cotter back. You address the need in the bottom six. And it should be interesting what Tom Fitzgerald does starting tomorrow at noon Eastern. Could be something big. It could be something small. But the Devils are now putting an emphasis on beef, getting bigger. Thank God, because I've been saying this for the last 5 years. And didn't I tell you 2025? That's when it's going to really swing around. And Fitzy, we trust. He's doing the right moves. They may not be sexy. They may not be what you want. But again, he has already signed the core for long term. Although I think Heischer's contract's starting to run out soon. But you have Bratt. You have Jack Hughes. You have Nico Heischer. You have Timo Meier. Plus Dougie Hamilton. But boy, I hope he can come back from that injury. Luke Hughes. Simon Nemeth, that blue line, it's going to look really nice once the A train gets out of the KHL and brings a 6'7" frame. I wonder if he's still growing, by the way. Now that Marino is gone, we need Joe Pesci calls. Whoa. I don't know how to do Joe Pesci. I know Jim Brewer does. I'm going to have to start figuring that one out. I got to talk to Scotty about it because some of these football calls, could we just do game-winning goal calls and, trash the other team that they lost? I don't know. Zadorov and Dillon. That's got to be the goal, says Chris Wilson. I would agree. Anybody watching the Stanley Cup parade that Florida Panthers are doing? A couple comments on that. First off, it's on NHL Network. Very blurry. Very, very blurry video feed. So, if NHL Network needs some consultant to tell them how to make that video feed look good, you can give me a call. Also, if the Devils ever win the Cup, I'm thinking, with Tampa and Florida having at the beach, what about the Devils having it down at the Jersey Shore? I think that would be really cool. Ralph says, prefer Zadorov over Pesci. Yeah, but Pesci anchored that blue line for Carolina with subpar goaltending. He was pretty good. I want all the above, but I don't know if the cap space would be there. Chris Wilson says Zadorov is being lobbied by Markstrom as we watch this. I hope you're right. We need the big Z on D. JP says Zadorov will be 7 to 8 mil. Could be. I think Dylan would be a great player in a New Jersey Devils uniform. I love this beef. And Sheldon Keefe is getting an entirely different team than what Lindy Ruff had last season, or at least some of it. He didn't have the beef. He didn't have goaltending. But he did have Jack Hughes, but Jack Hughes was pretty much injured last season. Same with Timo Meier. Jesper Bratt and Nico Hischier were pretty consistent. Should be interesting what Tom Fitzgerald does tomorrow. We're going to have the Let's Go Devils podcast, Sunday edition, 9 p.m. Eastern, the full roster. Scotty, Beer Baron, Shorts Guy and I will be live, 9 p.m. Eastern. Going to recap the last few days. But the beef is coming. The beef is coming. They're finally answering my prayers right now. The beef is coming. Dropping the podcast in about 20 minutes. Glad to see all you folks tuning in on this beautiful, muggy, humid Sunday in New Jersey. A happy Devil Sunday. The Devils are getting better. Well, going to head out right now. It's going to be a big day tomorrow. But just remember, catch the Sunday edition of the Let's Go Devils podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. Thank you to everybody. We've got goaltending. We're going to get physical on defense. Our bottom six forwards are going to give us depth. And also, I'm still protesting. Give me Erica Wachter or give me death. MSG Networks, get it right. Bring her back. Till next time, let's go Devils.